The kiss that changed everything. The night sky above the alien world was filled with 2 moons, their silver light falling on a quiet valley. The human explorer, Daniel, walked carefully through the strange forest. His mission was simple: study the plants, collect samples, and return to the ship. But deep inside, he felt this place was not ordinary. It was too silent, too perfect, as if the forest itself was waiting for something. He brushed aside glowing leaves, each one shining like liquid crystal. His boots sank softly into the moss. The air smelled sweet, but heavy. As he moved further, he suddenly heard a cry. It was sharp, filled with fear. Daniel's heart raced. He ran toward the sound, branches scratching against his suit. There, near a river of blue firewater, he saw her. A young alien woman trapped by a beast. The creature had 6 legs, glowing eyes, and sharp fangs that dripped poison. It circled her like a predator, ready to strike. The alien girl stood tall, her silver hair shining under the twin moons, but Daniel could see her shaking. Without thinking, Daniel acted. He picked up a sharp branch lying near his feet and shouted loudly. The beast turned its glowing eyes toward him. It roared, a terrible sound that shook the trees. Daniel's legs trembled, but he forced himself to stand firm. He threw the branch with all his strength. It hit the creature's eye. The beast screamed and leapt back into the shadows, disappearing into the forest. The girl fell to her knees. Breathing hard, Daniel rushed to her side. "Are you all right?" he asked. His voice was careful, unsure if she understood his words. To his surprise, she nodded. Her eyes, strange, glowing violet, locked onto his. For a long moment, they simply stared at each other. 2 strangers from different worlds. Then, without warning, she stepped closer. She whispered something in her language, soft and melodic. Before Daniel could ask, she leaned forward and pressed her lips gently against his. The kiss was warm, electric. His body froze. His mind screamed that this was impossible, but he could not move. A strange energy shot through him, like fire and ice at the same time. He felt his heartbeat speed up. His skin glowed faintly. The air around them shimmered as if reality itself had been touched. When she pulled away, Daniel gasped for air. His chest rose and fell quickly. What was that?" he whispered. The girl looked shocked too. Her hands touched her lips, then her chest. Then she whispered again in her alien tongue, only this time her voice carried fear. Behind them, shadows moved. 7 figures stepped out into the moonlight. They were all women, each one with the same violet eyes, each one different in appearance, tall, short, fierce, calm, but all shared the same strange beauty. Their hair shimmered like silver, their clothes woven from light. The eldest sister spoke. Her voice was deep and commanding. "Human," she said, her accent heavy but clear enough. "You are bound now." Daniel blinked, confused. "Bound? What do you mean?" The sisters surrounded him, their eyes burning with emotion, fear, anger, disbelief. The one who kissed him hid behind her older sisters, whispering fast. The eldest looked down at Daniel. Her gaze was sharp like a blade. "The bond has begun," she said. "By kiss you are tied to us. You must wed all 7 of us." Daniel's mouth opened in shock. "Marry? All 7? That's insane!" He shouted. He tried to step back, but the circle of sisters closed around him. Their presence was overwhelming. It felt like the forest itself bent to their will. The second sister, younger and sly, laughed softly. "The prophecy spoke true," she said. "A human would come, and the kiss would seal his fate." Daniel shook his head. His heart raced. Sweat covered his forehead. He had come here to collect plants, to study, not to marry 7 alien women. Not to be part of some prophecy. But the sister's eyes told him it was no joke. The bond was real. He could feel it like an invisible chain wrapped around his heart, pulling him toward them. His body trembled with fear and confusion. The youngest sister, with wide, innocent eyes, stepped closer. She looked at him with a mixture of curiosity and sadness. "If you refuse," she said softly, "our world will fall into war." Daniel's chest tightened. The air felt heavy. His mind spun with questions. Who were these sisters? What prophecy? Why him? The eldest sister raised her hand. Her voice echoed like thunder. You cannot run, human. The kiss has bound you. Your fate is sealed. The forest grew silent. The two moons seemed to shine brighter, and Daniel, standing in the circle of 7 alien sisters, realized his life would never be the same again. Asterisk, the prophecy revealed Daniel stood frozen, his breath caught in his throat. The circle of 7 alien sisters surrounded him. Their violet eyes glowed brighter under the twin moons. It felt like they were not just looking at him, but into him. Searching his very soul, he opened his mouth to speak, but no words came. How could he explain? He was just a human explorer, lost in a strange world. How could one kiss trap him in such a strange fate? The eldest sister stepped closer. Her silver hair brushed against her shoulders like threads of moonlight. She raised her hand, and the air shimmered as if her very presence commanded the forest to obey. Human, she said, her voice calm yet heavy. You do not understand what has begun. Daniel swallowed hard. His voice finally returned. Then tell me, please. Tell me what's happening. The second sister, sly and sharp, tilted her head and smirked. It is simple. The prophecy has chosen you. The word sent a chill down his spine. Prophecy. The kind of word that carried weight, mystery, and danger. He shook his head. No, that's impossible. Prophecies are just myths, stories to scare children. The third sister, whose eyes were colder than the rest, stepped forward. Her tone was sharp like a blade. You dare doubt our traditions? For thousands of years, our people have waited for this moment. Daniel's hands curled into fists. Waited? For me? I don't even belong here, the youngest sister whispered softly. Yet the bond has chosen you. It cannot be undone. Before Daniel could argue, the eldest raised her hand. Silence fell over them all. She looked at the forest, then at Daniel, and began to speak in a steady voice. Long ago, before even the oldest trees were born, our world was divided. The 7 clans of the sisters fought endlessly. Blood covered the rivers, fire filled the skies. Our people cried out for salvation. Her words seemed to echo, as if the forest itself remembered. The shadows deepened. The twin moons shone brighter. Then, she continued, an oracle spoke. She said, one day, a human shall come from beyond the stars. He shall kiss one sister, and by that kiss, he will bind to all. If he accepts, the 7 clans will unite. Peace will return. If he refuses, the world will burn once again. Daniel felt his stomach drop. He wanted to laugh, to deny it. But deep inside, he felt the weight of her words. That strange energy from the kiss still pulsed in his chest, like a second heartbeat. So you think I'm that human? He asked, his voice cracked between disbelief and fear. The sisters exchanged glances. Their expressions were different: hope, doubt, anger, and even fear, but none denied it. The second sister leaned closer, her voice teasing. Not think, human, we know. The bond has already marked you. Look at your hand. Daniel looked down. His eyes widened. On his skin, faint glowing lines spread from his fingertips to his wrist. Like silver fire under his flesh, they pulsed slowly, in rhythm with his heart. No, he whispered. His hand shook. He tried to rub it off, but the light remained. It was inside him, a part of him. The eldest nodded firmly. The bond is sealed. You cannot escape it. Panic rose in Daniel's chest. He stumbled back. But why me? I'm not special. I'm just me. The fourth sister, fiery and proud, stepped forward. Her eyes burned like violet flames. Because fate does not choose the mighty. It chooses the needed. Her words struck him harder than any blade. He looked around at their faces, 7 pairs of eyes staring back, each pair holding centuries of waiting. But if I refuse? Daniel asked, his voice almost a whisper. What if I say no? The forest went deathly silent. Even the wind stopped moving the glowing leaves. The youngest sister's voice was soft. but her words were heavy. That our clans will rise against each other again. War will return, millions will die, and you will not live either. The bond will destroy you. Daniel's heart pounded in his ears, his mind spun. He wanted to run, to escape, but he knew it was useless. The bond was inside him. He could feel it. It chained him to this destiny. The second sister smiled coldly. So human, you see. There is no choice, only the path of fate. But Daniel shook his head, his fists clenched. No. There is always a choice, always. The eldest narrowed her eyes. Then prove it. If you truly believe, prove your worth. Tomorrow, at dawn, the trials begin. 7 trials for 7 sisters. Pass them, and we will accept you. Fail, and the bond will consume you. Her words hit him like thunder. Trials. He barely survived a beast tonight. What more could they throw at him? The sisters turned away one by one, disappearing into the glowing forest like shadows. The youngest lingered, her eyes wide, filled with something Daniel could not name. Pity, maybe hope, she whispered. Be strong, human, for all of us. And then she too vanished into the darkness. Daniel fell to his knees. His chest heaved, his hands shook. He looked at the glowing lines on his skin, pulsing softly in the moonlight. His future was no longer his own. The prophecy had found him. The trials awaited him, and the fate of an entire world now rested on his shoulders. Meeting the sisters, the alien night stretched long and endless. Daniel sat near a glowing river, his mind restless. The bond pulsed inside his chest like a second heartbeat. His hand still glowed with silver lines. He tried washing it in the water, but the light never faded. The more he fought it, the stronger it burned, reminding him of the kiss that changed everything. At dawn, the forest shifted. The glowing leaves dimmed, the twin moons sank low, and the sky turned into shades of gold and violet. A voice echoed in the valley, calm but commanding. It was the eldest sister, calling him, human, the time has come, meet us. Daniel followed the sound. His boots crunched against the strange moss. His heart hammered. He had faced death before, but this was different. This was judgment. The sisters waited in a wide clearing. 7 thrones carved from crystal stood in a circle. Each throne pulsed with faint light. As Daniel stepped into the clearing, the air itself grew heavy. It felt like stepping into a temple. The eldest sister rose first. Her silver hair caught the sun's first rays. Her eyes burned with authority. You will meet each of us today, human. Each sister carries a piece of the prophecy, and you must understand us. Only then can you face the trials. Daniel nodded weakly, though his throat felt dry. The eldest motioned, and the second sister stepped forward. She was sharp-eyed, playful, a smile resting on her lips. She circled Daniel slowly like a hunter. I am Lyra, she said, her voice smooth. I test the clever, the quick, the ones who see truth behind lies. If you cannot think faster than your enemies, you will not survive. Her words wrapped around him like smoke. Daniel swallowed hard, already uneasy. Next came the third sister. Tall and silent, her eyes were colder, harder. She stopped in front of Daniel, looking down at him as if measuring his worth. I am Solara, she said, her tone flat. I do not care for weak hearts or soft words. To stand with us, you must stand unshaken. Like stone fail, and I will crush you myself. Daniel felt her gaze pierce into him like ice. His stomach twisted. The fourth sister approached with a fiery step. Her armor glimmered under the alien sun, her shoulders straight, her eyes burned. With pride, I am Kelith, she declared, her voice strong like thunder. I am the warrior. I do not test your mind. I test your courage. You will fight. You will bleed. If you fall, you are not worthy. She slammed her fist against her chest, the sound echoing like a war drum. Daniel flinched. The fifth sister came forward with a gentler air, her movements soft, her voice quiet. She knelt in front of Daniel, placing her hand above his glowing marks. I am Nira, the healer, she whispered. I do not test your strength, but your heart. Can you care for those who fall? Can you heal wounds, not just of the body but of the soul? Many strong men fail here. Do not fail, human. Her touch was warm, but Daniel felt a chill at her words. The sixth sister laughed suddenly, breaking the heavy air. She danced around him with a mischievous grin. I am Sora, she said playfully. I test joy, spirit, and chaos. Life is not only battles and rules. It is also laughter, tricks, and games. If you cannot handle the unexpected, you will never handle me. She poked Daniel's shoulder, then vanished behind her sisters, leaving him more confused than ever. Finally, the youngest sister stepped forward. She was smaller, her eyes wide with innocence, but her presence was strange, powerful in a way Daniel could not explain. She did not rush. She stood before him and spoke softly. I am Alara, the youngest. But the prophecy rests with me most of all. I do not test your strength, mind, or courage. I test your truth. When the time comes, you will face a choice. If your heart lies, all will fall. If your heart is true, all will rise. Her words struck deep. Daniel's breath caught. He saw something in her eyes, something ancient, like wisdom far older than her small frame. For a moment, he forgot. She was alien. She looked at him as if she already knew him. The eldest sister raised her hand again. Now you have seen us, human. Do you still deny your place in the prophecy? Daniel shook his head. His chest tightened. I don't know if I can do this, he admitted. His voice cracked with honesty. The second sister smirked. Doubt already, how weak. But the fifth sister, the healer, touched his arm gently. Doubt is not weakness. Doubt means you are human. The others murmured. Some nodded, some scowled. The council of sisters was not united. Even now, they argued in silence with their eyes. The eldest voice cut through them. The prophecy is not kind. It does not care for your fear, Daniel. It does not care for your wish to return home. You are bound. The bond pulls at your soul. You cannot undo it. Only the trials will decide your fate. Daniel looked down at his glowing hand. The silver lines pulsed brighter, as if answering her words. His stomach twisted. He felt trapped, but also challenged. What are the trials? He asked finally. The eldest's lips curved into a grim smile. 7 trials, one for each of us. Each trial will test you in ways you cannot imagine. Mind, body, heart, spirit, truth. You will either rise or you will be broken. The warrior sister Keleth grinned fiercely. I pray you survive mine. Human, the playful one Sora winked. And I pray you don't lose your mind in mine. Daniel's legs felt heavy. He wanted to scream, to run, to wake up from this nightmare. But deep inside, he felt something stirring. A strange fire. Perhaps the bond was not only chains. Perhaps it was also a spark. The youngest, Alara, whispered again. Be strong, human, for all of us, for all the world. The sisters turned away, their thrones fading into light until only the clearing remained. Daniel stood alone once more, his heart pounding. The bond glowed brighter. The trials awaited. And Daniel knew that meeting the sisters was only the beginning. Asterisk. The sun of the alien world climbed higher, casting a golden fire across the sky. Daniel stood at the edge of a stone arena carved deep into the valley. The air was heavy with silence. Only the distant hum of strange creatures filled the void. He felt his heart pounding inside his chest, the silver bond on his hand glowing faintly, as if it already knew what awaited him. The sisters appeared one by one, stepping from the shadows like spirits of the ancient forest. Their thrones had vanished, but their presence was even more powerful. The eldest sister's voice carried across the arena like thunder. Human, the trials begin now. Each of us will test you. If you endure, you may yet fulfill the prophecy. If you fail, the bond will end, and so will your life. Daniel's throat tightened. He wanted to argue, to scream, but the words never came. Deep inside, he knew nothing would stop what was about to happen. The bond tied him here, and fate had already spun its threads. The first to step forward was Lyra, the sly sister with sharp eyes. She smiled, circling him like a predator. Your mind first, human. Cleverness is your weapon, not strength. Solve my test, or be swallowed by it. With a wave of her hand, the arena shifted. The stone floor cracked open, and suddenly Daniel was standing at the edge of a massive labyrinth, glowing with silver walls. The paths twisted endlessly, each turn alive with whispers that crawled into his ears. Daniel hesitated, sweat covering his forehead. He stepped inside. Each corridor seemed the same, each turn pulled him deeper. His own reflection appeared on the walls, but warped, mocking him with twisted smiles. His chest tightened. The whispers grew louder. You are lost, you are nothing, you will never escape. Daniel closed his eyes, forcing himself to breathe. He remembered Lyra's words, cleverness, not strength. He touched the glowing bond on his hand. It pulsed, and for a moment he heard his own voice whisper back against the lies. There is always a way. He looked closer and noticed that in the silver reflections, one version of himself pointed faintly toward a hidden path. He followed it, ignoring the mocking voices. Finally, he stumbled out of the maze into the open air. Lyra stood waiting, her smirk softened. Not useless. After all, she murmured, and stepped aside. Daniel barely had time to breathe before Solara, the cold sister, stepped forward. Her gaze froze him in place. Stone does not bend, she said. You must stand against fear, against pain, against despair. Do not fall. The arena darkened, and shadows swallowed him whole. He found himself alone in a void. His body grew heavy, his knees trembled, voices filled the darkness, his own voice, but twisted, cruel. You will fail. Daniel, you are weak, you are nothing but a coward. He felt a crushing weight on his chest, dragging him to the ground. He fell to his knees, gasping for air. His bones screamed with pain. Solara's voice cut through the dark. Rise or be broken. Daniel clenched his fists, his body shook, his vision blurred. He thought of home, of the kiss, of the youngest sister's eyes filled with hope. He forced himself up inch by inch. His legs burned. His back screamed, but he stood tall. The darkness shattered, and Solara appeared before him, her cold eyes softer now. She gave the slightest nod before stepping aside. Kelith, the warrior, approached next. Her armor gleamed, and she carried a massive spear of light. Now, human, she said, fire burning in her voice. Show me courage. The ground rumbled, and a beast rose from the depths of the arena. Larger than a house, with claws like blades and teeth dripping acid. Daniel stumbled back, his heart pounding. He had no weapon, no shield, only his hands. The beast roared and charged. Daniel dodged, barely escaping the crushing blow. Dust rose around him, his chest ached. But as the monster lunged again, Daniel spotted the broken spear lying on the ground. He grabbed it, the weight nearly pulling him down, yet he held it firm. The battle was chaos. The beast struck again and again, each time Daniel dodged. Each time his body screamed with exhaustion, but he refused to stop. Finally, as the beast lunged with its jaws open wide, Daniel drove the spear into its throat. The creature roared and collapsed, its body dissolving into dust. Kelith grinned, her eyes blazing with respect. Not bad, human, not bad at all. Daniel fell to his knees, gasping, his body drenched in sweat, but he knew it wasn't over. Nira, the healer, stepped forward next. Her soft eyes met his. Now your heart, she whispered. She waved her hand, and Daniel found himself in a field of the wounded. Alien soldiers lay on the ground, bleeding, crying out in pain. The sight froze him. He had never seen so much suffering. A small child reached for him, her tiny hand trembling. Daniel's throat tightened. He wanted to turn away, but he couldn't. He knelt and pressed his hand on her wound. The bond on his skin glowed, light spread, and the girl's wound closed. She gasped and smiled weakly. Daniel felt tears sting his eyes. He moved from one to another, healing, comforting, giving what little he had. His arms trembled, his heart ached. But he kept going until the last soldier breathed again. Nira placed her hand on his shoulder. "You carry more than strength, you carry compassion. Do not lose it," she said softly. Daniel's chest ached with exhaustion. But before he could rest, laughter echoed. Sora appeared, spinning like a whirlwind. Her eyes sparkled with mischief. Now human, face chaos. She snapped her fingers, and the world twisted. The arena vanished, replaced with shifting platforms. Falling stones, rivers of fire. Daniel stumbled as the ground disappeared beneath him. He leapt, climbed, dodged. Every step was madness. The world spun, but he forced himself to laugh, to push through. He shouted against the storm, "I will not quit." His spirit burned, and suddenly the madness stilled. Sora clapped, laughing. "Good. You're fun," she said, and skipped away. Daniel collapsed, his body shaking. Only 2 sisters remained, but his strength was nearly gone. His lungs burned. His legs felt heavy as stone, yet he forced himself to rise. The youngest sister, Ilara, stepped forward. Her voice soft, but her words sharper than any blade. "Truth, human, can you face yourself?" The arena shifted again, and Daniel saw himself standing across the field. Another Daniel, darker, filled with rage and fear. The shadow version spoke. "You are nothing. You want to run. You want to escape. Admit it. You don't care about their world. You only care about your life." Daniel's chest tightened. His hands shook. He wanted to deny it, but he knew deep inside there was truth. He was afraid. He wanted to go home. He wanted freedom. He fell to his knees, gasping. Ilara's voice whispered, "Speak, human, speak truth." Daniel raised his head, his voice breaking. "Yes, I am afraid. Yes, I want to go home. But I cannot. I will not abandon you. I will not abandon your world." His words rang out. The shadow shattered into dust. Ilara smiled faintly, her eyes shining. "Then you are ready," she whispered. The arena fell silent again. The sisters stood together, their eyes fixed on him. The eldest spoke, her voice like thunder. "You have faced us, you have endured. But the prophecy is not yet complete. The greatest test still lies ahead." Daniel's body trembled, his heart pounded, but as he stood in the silence of the alien arena, he knew one thing. He was no longer just a human explorer. He was bound to the 7 sisters, bound to their fate. And his story had only begun. The alien arena lay in silence, dust still rising from the ground, where Daniel had faced the trials. His body trembled with exhaustion, sweat dripping down his face. The silver glow on his hand pulsed brighter, proof that the bond had grown stronger with each challenge. The 7 sisters stood together, watching him with unreadable eyes. Some looked impressed, others doubtful, and the youngest, Ilara, watched with quiet hope. But before Daniel could catch his breath, a deep tremor shook the valley. The ground cracked. The air itself seemed to shiver. From beyond the cliffs came a low horn that echoed across the land like the roar of a beast. The eldest sister's expression darkened. She raised her hand, her voice sharp. "They are here." Daniel staggered to his feet, his chest tightening. "Who's here?" he asked. His voice shook, though he already sensed the answer. "The rival clans." Kelith, the warrior sister, growled. Her violet eyes blazed with fire. "They know the prophecy. They know the bond has been awakened, and they will not allow you to live." The sky split open with fire as ships descended from the clouds. Sleek black vessels that roared like thunder. They poured into the valley, filling the air with the stink of burning metal. The earth shook as the ships landed, and from their bellies poured warriors tall, armored, their eyes burning red. Their weapons crackled with energy. Daniel's heart pounded. He had barely survived the trials. How could he face an army? He looked at the sisters. "We have to run," he said. The eldest shook her head. "No, we must fight. If you flee now, they will hunt you to the ends of the galaxy. Your bond makes you their greatest enemy." The soldiers formed ranks, their leader stepping forward, taller than the rest. His armor glowed crimson, and his voice rumbled like stone. "Sisters of the prophecy," he called, "hand over the human. Break the bond, or your world will fall." Daniel's breath caught. His body shook. He was no soldier, no warrior. Yet the prophecy chained him to this moment. He looked at the sisters, at Keleth gripping her spear, at Sora spinning with a grin, at Alara standing calm though her hands trembled. And something inside him hardened. "No," he whispered. His voice grew stronger. "I won't be handed over. Not to you, not to anyone." The rival leader roared. In anger, he raised his blade of light, and the army surged forward. The ground exploded as weapons fired, beams of fire and plasma tearing through the valley. Keleth charged first, her spear spinning. She cut through enemies like fire through paper. Her roar echoed above the chaos. Sora laughed wildly, darting between warriors, confusing them with tricks and illusions until they struck at shadows. Nira knelt beside fallen allies, her hands glowing as she healed wounds even as battle raged around her. Lyra slipped into the shadows, reappearing behind enemies to strike their weak points. Solara stood unshaken, her presence alone freezing enemies with fear. Daniel stumbled back. The war around him was chaos. His chest burned with fear. A soldier charged at him, blade raised. Daniel's body moved before his mind. He grabbed a broken staff from the ground, blocking the strike. Sparks flew. His arms shook with pain, but he forced himself to stand. He shoved the soldier back and struck with all his strength. The man fell, dissolving into smoke. Daniel gasped, his breath ragged. He had killed. His hands trembled, but there was no time to think. More enemies came. He fought, clumsy but desperate. His heart screamed, his body burned, yet the silver glow on his hand guided him. Each strike, each dodge, it felt as if the bond was teaching him, moving him above the battlefield. The rival leader roared again. His blade cut through stone. "Human!" He shouted, "You are not chosen. You are a curse. I will end you and burn your prophecy to ash." He leapt forward, his massive form crashing down before Daniel. The ground cracked under his weight. Daniel stumbled back, his chest heaving. The leader's presence was suffocating. His blade hummed with deadly power. The sisters rushed to shield Daniel. But the leader's strike was too fast. His blade came down in a flash of crimson fire. Daniel raised his glowing hand without thinking. The bond flared bright. A shield of silver light burst into existence. Blocking the attack, the ground shook. With the force, the leader snarled, his eyes burning with fury. "Impossible," he spat. The sisters stared, their eyes wide. The eldest whispered, "The bond protects him." Daniel pushed forward, the shield glowing brighter. He shouted with every ounce of strength, forcing the enemy's blade back. The light exploded between them, sending both stumbling. The rival leader roared in rage, his armor cracked. Battle raged on, fire and smoke filling the valley. Daniel fought beside the sisters. Each moment tested him, each strike burned his body, but he refused to fall. He was not a warrior, yet he fought like one because he had no choice. Finally, the rival leader raised his blade for one last strike, his eyes locked on Daniel, fury and hatred burning. But before he could land the blow, Ilara stepped forward, her small form glowing with power far greater than her size. Her eyes burned like stars. "Enough," she whispered. Her voice carried across the battlefield, and everything stopped. The ground split. Light burst from her body, a wave of energy spread across the valley. The rival soldiers froze, their weapons dissolving into dust. The leader stumbled back, his eyes wide with shock. "You, the youngest," he muttered, fear breaking his voice. Ilara's power grew, but her face was pale, sweat dripping down her forehead. She shook as if carrying a weight too heavy. Daniel rushed to her side, grabbing her arm. "Stop, you'll kill yourself," he said. She looked at him, her eyes soft. "The bond gives me strength, but only if you stand with me, Daniel, do you?" His chest tightened. He saw her trembling, saw her sisters fighting desperately, saw the prophecy written in their eyes, and he knew his answer. He gripped her hand tightly, the bond glowing bright. "I stand with you," he whispered. The silver light flared, mixing with Alara's power. Together, their energy rose like a storm. The rival army screamed as the wave of light consumed them. The leader roared in defiance, but his body shattered into dust. The battlefield fell. Silent, Daniel collapsed, his chest heaving. Alara fell into his arms, weak but alive. The sisters gathered around, their faces filled with awe. The eldest spoke, her voice trembling. "The prophecy. It grows stronger, the human and the youngest. Together, they hold the key." Daniel looked at his glowing hand, then at Alara resting against him. His heart raced. He had survived the trials. He had fought a battle against an army, and yet, deep inside, he knew this was only the beginning. Greater wars waited, greater truths hid in the shadows. The bond burned brighter, and fate tightened its grip. Daniel was no longer just a visitor. He was now the chosen, and the galaxy would not rest until the prophecy was fulfilled. The battlefield still smoked under the alien sun. The broken ground was littered with the ashes of the rival army. The echo of war faded into silence. Daniel stood in the center, his chest heaving, his body trembling from exhaustion. Alara rested against him, her small frame weak, her face pale. Her power had saved them, but it had nearly consumed her. The other sisters gathered, their expressions unreadable. Kelith's armor was cracked, her spear bent. Salara's cold eyes were softer now. Nira's hands glowed as she rushed to heal Alara. Sora sat cross-legged on a broken stone, still grinning despite the chaos. Lyra and the eldest watched Daniel with sharp, measuring gazes. Daniel lowered Alara gently to the ground. His heart pounded as he saw her chest rising faintly. She was alive but fragile. He turned to Nira. "Can you help her?" he asked. His voice broke. Nira pressed her glowing hands over Alara's chest. Light spread slowly, but the healer shook her head. "Her wounds are not of flesh, they are deeper. The bond drains her. She used power meant for more than herself." "Power meant for two." Daniel's throat tightened. "For two?" he whispered. The eldest stepped forward, her silver hair catching the fading light. Her voice was heavy. "The secret of the youngest sister, the prophecy's final truth, it rests in her." Daniel frowned, his hands curling into fists. "What truth? What aren't you telling me?" The sisters exchanged glances. Their silence was louder than words. Finally, Alara stirred. Her violet eyes fluttered open. Weak but determined, she looked at Daniel and whispered, "I will tell him. He must know. He deserves the truth." The eldest's eyes narrowed. But Alara raised her hand. Small yet steady. "Enough hiding," she said. Her voice cracked with weakness, but her tone cut like steel. "The prophecy is not only about a human and 7 sisters. It is about sacrifice." Daniel's heart pounded harder. He leaned closer. "Sacrifice? What do you mean?" Illyra's lips trembled, but she forced herself to speak. "The kiss bound you to all of us. That bond is not just marriage. It is life itself. It means your strength feeds us, and our strength feeds you, but with me, it is different." Daniel's chest tightened. He already feared what she was about to say. Alara's violet eyes shimmered with sorrow. "I carry the heart of the prophecy. I was born not just as a sister, but as the vessel of the worlds. Last hope. My power can unite the clans, or destroy them, but it cannot survive on its own. It needs balance. It needs you." The words hit him like thunder. He stumbled back. "Me? You mean?" She nodded faintly. "Without you, I will die. Without you, my power will burn me until nothing is left. That is the truth our sisters never told you. That is the reason the bond chose you." Daniel's breath caught in his chest. He felt his throat tighten. He looked at the others. "You all knew? You kept this from me?" His voice shook with anger. Salara's cold eyes turned away. Kelith clenched her fists. Nira bowed her head. The eldest spoke calmly, though her gaze flickered with guilt. "It was not time for you to know, if we told." You too soon, you may have fled, but now you see, there is no running. Daniel's hands shook. He wanted to scream, to curse them all, but his eyes fell on Alara, weak, trembling. Yet watching him with hope, he swallowed hard. So if I stay, if I keep the bond, you live. But if I break it, you. Alara smiled faintly, though tears gathered in her eyes. I die, and with me, the world falls. The silence that followed was heavy. Daniel felt crushed beneath it. His chest burned with anger, fear, sorrow, and something else he could not name. He dropped to his knees beside her, gripping her hand tightly. Her skin was cold, yet her bond glow warmed his palm. Why me? He whispered, his voice shaking. Why not someone stronger, someone smarter? Why a human who didn't even want to be here? Ilara's small hand squeezed his weakly. Because only a human could choose freely. Our people are bound by blood, by clan, but you carry choice. That is why the prophecy chose you. Her words sank deep into him. His heart ached. He saw the truth in her eyes. She was not just the youngest, she was the key. The one who carried the weight of peace or destruction. And now, that weight pressed on him too. Khalith stepped forward, her fiery voice breaking the silence. Then the path is clear. We must protect him. If the rivals return, they will aim for him first. Without him, Ilara dies, and with her, all hope. Lyra smirked faintly, but her eyes were sharp. And if he falters, if his heart breaks, if his spirit fails, the bond collapses. We lose everything. Daniel looked at them, his chest heavy. So I'm not just marrying you, I'm your shield, your key, your weapon. Salara's cold voice cut through the air. Yes, Daniel shook his head, a bitter laugh escaping. Some marriage. Ilara reached for his hand again. Her eyes shone with sorrow and warmth. Not weapon, not shield, partner, she whispered. I do not ask you to fight alone. I ask you to walk with me, if you will. Her words silenced him. His chest tightened until he could barely breathe. He saw not just her weakness, but her courage. She was willing to burn herself for her people, and all she asked of him was to stand beside her. The valley was quiet, the air heavy with smoke and secrets. Daniel stared at the silver glow on his hand, pulsing in rhythm with Alara's heartbeat. He felt the chain of the prophecy tighten around him, not as a prison, but as a choice. Finally he whispered, his voice rough but certain, I will not let you die, not while I can still breathe. Alara's eyes filled with tears, and for the first time, her lips curved into a true smile. Fragile but bright, the sisters watched. In silence, their gazes sharp, calculating, but also softened by something else, hope. The eldest stepped forward, her voice steady. Then the prophecy moves forward. The rivals will not stop. They will come again. Stronger, and when they do, the fate of this world will rest on the bond between you and our youngest. Be ready, human. Daniel looked at Alara, at the sisters surrounding him, and felt the fire rising in his chest. He was no longer just trapped, no longer just lost. He was chosen, not because he wanted it, but because fate had left no other path. The secret of the youngest sister was now his burden too, and he knew the hardest choice was still waiting. A choice that would decide not only their lives, but the future of an entire world. The alien world stood on the edge of silence. The war had paused, the rivals scattered, but the shadow of destruction still hung heavy in the air. Daniel walked through the sacred valley with the 7 sisters, his body weak, his mind restless. His hand still glowed with the silver bond, brighter than ever, pulsing in rhythm with his heart and Alara's. Ahead the ancient council waited. A ring of towering crystal spires surrounded a vast hall carved from living stone. This was the place where the fate of their world had been decided for thousands of years. And now, for the first time, the fate of their world rested in the hands of a human. As they entered, the council of elders rose. Their forms were tall, draped in robes of light. Their violet eyes burned with judgment. The eldest elder's voice boomed. The prophecy has awakened. The human has bound with the sisters. Now the choice must be made. Daniel's throat tightened, his chest ached. He wanted to run, but he knew there was no escape. The bond pulled him here, step by step, dragging him toward the final decision. The eldest sister stepped forward, her voice steady and commanding. "Human, you must choose. Will you accept the bond fully, uniting yourself with all 7 of us? Or will you reject it and break the prophecy? If you reject, the rivals will rise, war will consume our clans, and Alara will die." The words cut into him, heavy as stone. He looked at the sisters, each one standing in silence. Their eyes locked on him. Kelith stood proud, her fiery spirit unbroken. Solara cold but steady. Lyra sharp and waiting. Nira kind and warm. Sora playful even now. The eldest serious and unyielding. And Alara, fragile yet glowing, her eyes filled with quiet hope. Daniel's voice trembled as he spoke. "You want me to marry all of you, to give myself to your world, to never return home. That's what this means, doesn't it?" The eldest nodded once. "Yes," the council echoed with murmurs. The elders leaned forward, their eyes burning, waiting for his answer. Daniel's chest tightened. His mind screamed with doubt. He thought of Earth, of home, of the life he once had. He thought of freedom, of walking away, of leaving this nightmare behind. His fists clenched, his heart raced. Lyra smirked faintly, her sharp voice cutting into the silence. "Look at him hesitate. Perhaps he is weaker than we thought." Kelith growled. "He has fought with us. He has bled with us. Do not doubt him." Solara's cold tone broke through. "Doubt is not weakness. It is truth. If he is to carry this bond, he must carry it without lies." Ilara stepped forward, her voice soft but strong. "Daniel," she whispered, "you do not have to pretend. You can say no, it will kill me. Yes, it will doom our world, but the choice must be yours, not ours." Daniel's breath caught. His throat tightened. He stared at her. At the smallest of the sisters who carried the heaviest weight. Her eyes glistened with tears, but her lips did not tremble. She was ready for his truth, whatever it was. His heart burned. He closed his eyes. The faces of the sisters filled his mind, the trials, the battles, the moments of laughter, the tears, the fire of Kelith, the calm of Solara, the cleverness of Lyra, the kindness of Nira, the chaos of Sora, the strength of the eldest, and the fragile courage of Alara. He remembered the kiss that had started it all, the moment he thought was a mistake, and realized it had been the spark of everything. Slowly he opened his eyes. His voice shook, but it grew stronger with each word. "I wanted to leave. I wanted to run. I didn't ask for this, but I see now it doesn't matter what I wanted. What matters is what I've become. What matters is what we've become." The council leaned forward. The sisters held their breath. Ilura's eyes shone brighter. Daniel stepped closer to her, his hand glowing. "I cannot let you die. I cannot let this world burn. I cannot walk away. So yes, I accept. I will wed you all. I will bind myself to this prophecy, to this bond, to this world." The hall erupted with light. The crystal spires glowed. The ground shook with energy. The bond on his hand flared, silver fire spreading across his body, wrapping him in light. The sisters glowed as well, their forms linked by threads of silver and violet. The prophecy was alive. The council's voices echoed like thunder. "The bond is sealed. The human has chosen. The prophecy lives." Ilara fell to her knees, tears streaming down her face, but her body glowed with strength instead of weakness. The bond no longer drained her, it filled her. She looked at Daniel with a smile that was both fragile and eternal. "You saved me," she whispered. "You saved us all." Daniel knelt beside her, his own tears burning in his eyes. "No," he whispered. "We saved each other." The sisters gathered around. For the first time, they were not 7 separate voices, but one, united in bond, united in fate. But even as the hall glowed with triumph, a shadow lingered at the edge of Daniel's heart. He knew the rivals would return, stronger than before. He knew the bond would bring not just peace, but greater enemies who would hunt them to the ends of the stars. The prophecy had been fulfilled, but it was not the end. It was only the beginning. The eldest sister raised her head, her voice steady. The world is safe for now. But war is not over. The rivals will rise again. The prophecy will draw enemies from beyond the stars. Prepare yourself, human, for this bond is not only life. It is also war. Daniel rose to his feet, the silver glow still burning in his veins. He looked at the 7 sisters, his partners, his fate, and he whispered to himself, "Then let them come." The hall fell silent once more, but the bond pulsed like a heartbeat, strong and eternal. The choice had been made. The prophecy was alive, and Daniel, the human who never asked for destiny, now stood as the husband of 7 alien sisters, bound forever to their world, bound forever to their fate.